Well, right now, tensions in the Middle East are escalating after Iran's supreme leader was killed in a major U.S. and Israeli military strike yesterday. Iranian state media confirms Ayatollah Khamenei died after targeted strikes on military sites across Iran. Iran has since fired missiles and drones toward Israel and U.S. bases in the region, vowing retaliation. Now, President Trump is warning the nation to not further escalate the situation, saying the U.S. will strike back, quote, with a force that has never been seen before. And this morning, we're staying on top of all angles of this developing story, including from reactions from communities here at home. Christian Benavidez leads off our team coverage this morning.
The U.S. and Israel launched more strikes today on Iran after taking out the country's supreme leader, dictator Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and many of Iran's senior leaders. On Saturday, U.S. Central Command released video showing cruise missiles firing from an American warship and fighter jets taking off.
And this is all a precursor for follow-on strikes over the next, I would suggest, probably 2 weeks, where we go after the other targets that didn't need the surprise that the targeting of the Iranian leadership did.
Overnight, a cloud of smoke could be seen rising in Tehran, while this was the scene in Tel Aviv after a missile strike. On Sunday, tear gas was fired as protesters gathered outside the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, and several protesters were killed outside a U.S. consulate in Pakistan. There were also celebrations around the world, including in Los Angeles, the largest diaspora of Iranians in the U.S.
Every single people in Iran knew that the only way that this regime is going to go away is that to attack them.
And across the U.S., anti-war protests. Hundreds marched near the White House and in New York City.
We organized today because ultimately we recognize that the American people are overwhelmingly against these foreign acts of aggression.
President Trump warned Iran against more retaliatory strikes, writing, "We will hit them with a force that has never been seen before." Christian Benavidez, CBS News.
Well, right now, local communities are reacting after Iran's supreme leader was killed, and Iranian Americans in Houston took to the streets last night, many calling it a moment of liberation for the Iranian people. Others also gathered nearby expressing concern about a wider war. Our Michelle Choi joins us live this morning with how Houston is responding. Michelle.
Hey there, Devon. Good morning. Yeah, you know, those unplanned demonstrations actually took place just down the street from where we are here in the Galleria area. I can tell you that the message from the Iranian Americans that we spoke with was very clear. They say they do not believe this is the start of a war, but possibly the end of one. Take a look. Our cameras were rolling as crowds gathered near Post Oak and Westheimer Saturday, waving Iranian flags, chanting, and celebrating what they describe as a historic turning point. Many of those celebrating were born in Iran and fled decades ago. Now, a separate group also gathered nearby, voicing concern about U.S. military involvement and the risk of a wider conflict.
That the terrorist leader of Iran has been killed, and all the people related to him will be killed very soon. That's what we wanted forever.
This is the first time I feel my country has a voice to raise. Finally, we're out of the basically suppression of a very terrible dictatorship.
The United States, which is my country, has a very long history of destruction. We always destroy. At the end of the day, there is destruction.
Now, earlier in the day, I actually sat down with 3 members of the Houston Iranian American Community Organization, all born in Iran and now living here in Houston. They say despite internet blackouts, some have been able to briefly reach relatives, and they are hearing reports of celebrations inside the country. They also push back strongly against comparisons to Iraq, saying they believe there is a transitional path forward for their country.
Everybody is happy inside Iran. They've been celebrating because they want to be free. They want to liberate themselves. They don't see this as a war. They see it as ending to a war and liberation of a nation.
The Iranian community had no other hope beside the promise that President Trump gave them, that we would come to their rescue when that moment comes. And last night, we all looked at our phone and that promise was fulfilled. So we're super excited and grateful.
Yeah, now today organizers tell me they do plan on holding another rally again here in the Galleria area from 3 to 5 this afternoon. They estimate about 10,000 people attended the last one that they held, and they are expecting possibly an even larger gathering later today. Now, we know this is a story that continues to develop by the hour. We, of course, are staying on top of it and will continue to bring you those developments as well as reaction from our Houston communities. Devon.
Emotions running high on both sides of the discussion there. Michelle, thank you so much.